But wait, there's more. For everyone who signs up for the California Grid Down Survival course, we will bring them into the Civilian Protector Project. So you'll get access to the Civilian Protector Project via the Protector Nation. That is a library at this present time of over 70 hours of personal protection and emergency management, disaster preparedness content. That is a library taught by over 24 of the world's most elite instructors on various different subject matters. Everything from situational awareness to unboxing your first firearm, to dry firing at home, to blade work, to medical. It's all in the Civilian Protector Project, and I'm so excited and honored to bring you guys in, everyone who joins the California Grid Down Survival Training course. So look forward to that. And by the way, I'm going to continue building that library. This is only just the beginning. So with your sign up, with what you're paying for the California Grid Down Survival course, you will also get access to the Civilian Protector Project. I look forward to seeing you guys inside the Civilian Protector Project social media platform here shortly, and training with you for this upcoming California Grid Down Survival course. Let's go. Boom.
Boom. What's going down, you guys? This episode, super stoked. I have the infamous Matt Beaudreau here. And how you doing, homie? How are things going, brother?
Brother, life is good, man. Hair is on fire. We're out changing the world, man. So there's always something going on, but life is good, man. I'm blessed.
100%, man. And so what I'm so excited about is, you know, there's a lot going on in our world. Things are changing very quickly. I feel like a lot of people don't know how they can get into the fight. They don't know how they can support the fight. I posted something the other day and I saw a mom that was like, you know, these videos really upset me. I wish there was something I could do. And so part of what I love doing is illuminating different ways that everyone can get in the fight, because we're over here playing around with 5th and 6th generation warfare. It's not going to be up to just the dudes with the guns to go and do and to go and change things these days, right? The battlefield is completely different. You can get a gang of moms together that start an organization that can absolutely wreck shop in the political and social landscape of the world. And so I love bringing people in like my man Matt here, who's fighting on a whole nother battlefield that is really going to impact our culture very shortly, man. So listen up, you guys. This is another way more of you can get into one of the most important fights for just a better tomorrow that exists right now. And that's the education war, you know?
That's it. And people realize, brother, that there's a fight there, but they don't understand, I think, who the enemy is. They don't understand what the fight looks like. They don't understand where to expend energy to potentially win the fight. Right. Like, that's one of the things, you know, and so that's part of what we're doing is we're putting our energy into the fight that you can actually win, that we can actually win in terms of helping our young heroes, man. That's the whole thing. So yeah, it's good stuff.
No, I love it. And I think that's what they've done. That's what the forces that we come against have done so well, is that it just feels hopeless. And that's amazing. That's amazing psyop. That's an amazing psychological operation. You won't even fight if you don't believe you can win.
That's right.
And that's kind of what they've done. They've attacked on biological level. Your biology's under attack. Your toxic load right now, just being a normal human, is like through the roof, right? Psychologically, the information that's coming at you every single day, designed to consumer-centric information coming at you every single day, right? You get your purpose from where your intimacy is, right? You're intimate with your phone. What's it telling you to do, you know? There's cultural attacks going on, and then, you know, there's physical and spiritual attacks going on. So, and then the educating the next generation. So understand you can be victorious in these, but let's talk about what you guys are doing at Apogee. Well, go ahead. If you have something on that, send it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and this will lead right into it, because everything you're talking about right there. So there's a gentleman named Seth Godin. Some of the listeners may know of Seth, and he's a phenomenal author, brilliant human being. And I've known Seth for a number of years, not extraordinarily well, but enough to have a couple of conversations with him. And one of the things he said to me years ago, man, that nobody had ever asked me. I've been in education for 2 decades, right? And so people talk a lot of the same things. One of the things he said was, man, what should education be for?
Right.
And I went, oh, gosh, man, how come I've been in the public system for so long and I've never actually been asked that? And the best thing that I could come out with, that I could think through, that still to this day is what makes the most sense to me is education should ultimately be towards sovereignty, right? It should be towards freedom. It should be towards each individual being able to know, identify, understand, and pursue their level of sovereignty while understanding how to help serve other human beings and not, mess with anybody else, right? And so what you just said, all those attacks, all those different cultural attacks, the phone, culture over here, the internet over here, this Apple telling us this,
all of it,
man, all the food, all of that, right? It comes, the reason it can get us is because we are not educated in all of these areas. We're not educated on what good relationships look like, not educated on the financial system. We're not educated on health and physiology. We're not educated on how to be really good at having strong, solid relationships. We're not educated on these things. That's what we're seeking to eradicate, right? So, everything we're doing with Apogee, we say that mission is reseeding sovereignty and freedom in this country by disrupting education for the entire family. Notice I didn't say it's just schools and just kids. No, it's the whole family.
Let's go.
We want young people to have a foundation of education, sovereignty, and freedom, and understand how to continuously grow in that. And hey, by the way, we want them going home to parents who are on a journey of being educated and moving towards sovereignty as well. So, everything we are building is for that mission and that mission alone.
Oh, it's so good, man. It gets my blood boiling. And the thing is, man, it's very simple. My people perish for lack of knowledge, right? Satan is called, he's called the prince of darkness. Darkness is ignorance. This means that any area you have in your life where you do not have information, the protection of illumination and information, you have no light, right? Your education is faulty. You will be taken advantage of. Financially, you are being taken advantage of because you don't have information. Biologically, you're being taken advantage of because you don't have information. I don't want to get too deep down, but understand that this education piece is what informs your effectiveness in life, period. Like, this is the whole game. This is the game.
This is the game. This is the long tail game, right? This is the infinite game.
Yep.
It's a game that you don't actually stop unless you choose to stop it.
Yep.
Or you are 6 feet under. That's it. Otherwise, you are growing, learning. You are continuous, and you can study, you can move towards pursuit of sovereignty and freedom every day for 120 years. And at the end, you still only know 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of all there is to know, right? But it's an infinite game, and it should be a beautiful thing. People have been taught to be afraid of it. And I'll tell you what, man, I love the way you frame that with the enemy, because here's the deal. The enemy is not some giant horned on the boogeyman, I'm jumping out, right? That's not him. The enemy, look at what he did in the garden, right? In the garden, he's, that makes sense. But hey, did he say this or did he say this?
Just a little,
right? And it's
just a little,
just a little bit off. That's right. It's just a little bit off in two planes taken off from the exact same spot, but 1 degree of difference. Man, over time, they are landing at very different destinations. And that's the way he rolls, right? And so school is a prime example of that. It seems like a good thing until you realize it's just a little bit off, and it's actually designed to make slaves, not free people.
Exactly.
But by the time you realize it, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's too late.
You're like 1 degree off. The lie even had truth in it. And then all of a sudden you're in the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of darkness at the end of the game.
Yes, sir.
That's
yes, sir.
That's so what do people need to know about Apogee? Like right now, they're probably like, okay, what's going on? Like, just lay it on them, man. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, man. I'll give you the 30,000 foot overview, and then we can pick apart anything that you want to dive into. So Tim Kennedy is a dear friend and one of the best humans I know. Is my partner on this.
Heck yeah.
He's, amazing human being. Everybody knows they know he's a UFC champ and a military stud and all. Yeah, 100%. But he's one of the best human beings, one of the best fathers, one of the best husbands, one of the most intelligent human beings I know. Right? He's just a really good human who believes in sovereignty and freedom for all. He's my partner on this. We are essentially taking down the entire need for the Department of Education to the best of our ability.
Yo, when you need protection, I'll let you, boy. That's my kind
no
of
doubt.
I love protecting.
No doubt, man. But we're doing it not by, we're talking about that fight earlier, right? We're doing it not by fighting against what is there necessarily, because that is a game that has been a long tail game set up to nobody else can really necessarily influence it.
Take the guerrilla route, man.
We're taking the guerrilla route, man. We're building something different. We're building something better, and we're making it accessible, right? So what we are building simultaneously, we have campuses that we are building. So these are K through 12 campuses that we are bringing to communities.
Mm-hmm. Can I say something real quick?
Please do. Yes, sir.
Real quick for you guys listening, this is an extremely powerful tactic. So building parallel organizations, so you're not going to go toe to toe with the medical industry or with one of these gigantic industries. It's not guerrilla warfare. They've got a massive force and I have a smaller force. I want to appear, I want to disappear, I want to move around. Big beats little because little's quick. But what you can do is get all the other slaves together and you can get all the masses together and build a parallel organization. So every organization you see out there that you don't like, if you can gain enough people who also believe what you believe, build a parallel organization, and then you can start giving the people in the middle an option. And when they start to wake up and realize what's in their best interest, they can start choosing the option that was designed for humanity, not just money or mammon or profit or slavery.
You nailed it. I mean, you nailed it. So one of the organizations we reference quite a bit is CrossFit, right? Like, I don't care if you like CrossFit, don't like CrossFit, don't know. Chances are you know what CrossFit is.
Yep.
And you have an idea of what it's about. Why? Well, because enough people band together, decided they were going to do this. They built this, forced even the old school gyms, right, to have to adapt and to acknowledge that they're there. They're there. They're doing something powerful, right? So we're doing the same thing. We're not going to try to change school from within. I did that already naively. It doesn't work. Yeah. And so I tried to do that, right? And it doesn't work. So we're building this alternative. So we've got these K through 12 campuses, and we are taking that CrossFit mentality of partner with people in the community and empower them to bring their own business to serve their community. So we're partnering with affiliates who are launching their own Apogee K through 12 campus in their community, right? We're showing them how to do it. We're taking them through training on how to do it well, both from the pedagogical side as well as from the practical side of running a business. We're providing all the projects. We're providing we are making it as plug and play as humanly possible, but they know they also have the sovereignty and ability to be like, okay, cool. But now I'm over here in San Diego. My community needs a little bit of this. I have this resource available. Cool, man, bring it in. If it serves your people, go get it. This is yours. This is your business. We're just here to support. Right now, in that support, they're building out these K through 12 campuses. We're helping show them how to do this well, how to actually make the campus a microcosm of life, meaning the young people learn what life expects and rewards. It's not school that shows you how to get better at school. It is a campus that shows you how to be good at life. Those are not the same games.
No, right? Because I went to school for when I got a master's degree. I was in school for some crazy amount of time, over a decade. And I got to life, and life was like, wah.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I was like, where was my dad? Like, who? No one taught me this.
I got an A in trigonometry, man. What are you doing? Yeah, dude, that's it, right?
Yeah.
And it's designed that way on purpose, by the way. Right. So the school design, people think school was designed for humanity and the way humans develop. It was not at all. That's a whole different topic.
You can research it. The information.
You can research it, man. Information's freely available. So we've got these campuses that are a microcosm of life. They're having Socratic conversations, learning how to think, not what to think. They're engaging in civil discourse. They're engaging in understanding how to communicate. They're engaging in understanding physiology and how to be physically healthy and what actually happens with their physiology, how that plays into their mental health. They're engaging with real world projects, solving real problems. They have an economy on campus. They're worried about internships, apprenticeships, starting businesses. It's a microcosm of what the world actually rewards, right?
Wow.
So they're building these campuses. Simultaneously, mom and dad go through education at the same time. We have Apogee men and Apogee women. Those are all long tail programs of educating mom and dad around their health, around their psychology, their time and energy management, their relationships with one another, intentionality. And this isn't Matt and Tim put it together. It is, no, man, we went to the best of the best when it comes to relationships and what are the projects and challenges here, right? The best of the best when it comes to, finances and taxes and understanding all that. Cool. That's a part of that program. So mom and dad are getting educated too. Those programs can also stand alone if people are like, oh man, I don't have an Apogee campus in my, the men and women can still jump in there. So we've got this full family approach to education. And then we have a university system on the way.
Heck yeah.
And we have nonprofit foundations so that people can donate and directly and make this available to people. Oh, and then we created a payment processing system, just like Stripe or PayPal, but instead of us making money on it, the money goes through that and gets funneled to any excess profit goes into the foundation, and is 100% of that goes to scholarship families to attend our stuff. We're making it available. We're making an endowment that makes all of this a viable substitution for how you normally do school and become educated.
Outstanding.
It's a 30,000-foot overview of so much work.
Yeah.
So worth it.
But such a huge contribution to humanity, like on that whole like parallel organization. I was sitting there thinking the other day, like, what would life be like if we didn't have to do money? You know what I mean? Like what would life be like if, like we could return to like doing life for humanity and all this? And it's the kingdom of heaven. It's living life to bring God glory, and people will praise and be glad that you showed up and did this. And that's what you're doing. Like, it's kingdom of light. It's, I'm doing this for my neighbor. He's got peaches, I got pears. Let's share them. Let me make his life better. I gain honor for this. It's a whole nother currency. And so like when you're doing things like this, it's just like, this is the way humans were supposed to live. Now I'm making other powerful humans. And it's not just about the financial piece, and it's not just about subjugation. Like, I'm finding everything in that other kingdom just tends to be about slavery. But anyways, but that's really the thought,
that's it, man. And that's the factory setting of a human, man. That's, you look at you look at the beautiful children that you have, and they come out and they're curious and they have wonder for the world, and they're not pining after money. They're pining after purpose. They're they want to grow, and they want to connect with other humans. And, like they're showing us what our design was supposed to be. And we've gotten so distracted.
100%. I love it, man. So how many campuses do you guys have? What's the projection here? Where we go? I want people to understand how massive and how for real this thing is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So Tim and I, just with like social media posts, man, in 2023, we said, all right, we've got these programs rocking and rolling. We want to help affiliates. We had about 400 people apply in 2023. We accepted about 50. We've brought them through a full year of training. So we have about 50 people that are launching campuses all over the US, one in Australia, one in Canada, this coming fall. And then a couple months ago, we also said, all right, we're looking to train people again for launches for 2025.
Yeah.
We had about 900 applications.
Wow.
We've extended offers to a little over 100. So we think we'll have about another 100 that'll launch in 2025.
Wow.
Again, all over the US and Canada. And so
100,
about
100 that'll launch in 2025.
Yeah, man. So 50 now, 100 then. So 150 campuses. And just now, even before having those campuses with our parents coming in, we are closing in on about 600, I believe, ish men and women in the men and women's program. We got about 150 in our young man's program. So we've got, close to 1,000 people that are being served before we even have the physical campuses launched, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. Men like you, hey, you're inspirational to me. You're inspirational to me. It's such an honor to listen to the impact you're having. Are you
brother.
kidding me?
Goes
That's
both
so
ways.
inspirational. Like we got to do some stuff. I got to wake up earlier, man. Let's go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. I know. Dude, I've gotten text messages from you, and I've gotten them at 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I live on the East Coast.
Yep,
I
yep,
know it's
yep.
4 a.m. where you are, man. So
Let's go.
I know what time you're getting up, brother. I know what's happening.
Yeah, man. That's one of the hardest things is holding my fire until I know people are awake, and I'm up at like 4 a.m. running around hammering. You know?
I know, man. I
I
know
love
what you're
it.
doing.
Yo, what about, let's see here. So public education,
Yes, sir.
there may be some listeners that are like, yeah, my kids are in public school. Like, what's the big deal? I went to public school.
Yes, sir.
What are the things that we could illuminate as to why this is so important for your kids? I mean, if I was going to be honest with people, I would say based on the things that I'm seeing in the world and in the education system, this is becoming like something that is like kind of required. Like I don't care if I don't have the money. I need to figure out how to make sure my kids don't get educated from those guys. Like literally, you know how much chasing my tail I had to do after coming out of their education and re-education of myself. I can't lead my family farther than I've gone personally. I'm having to learn all these other things. As a man, I can't lead my wife, my kids, my employees farther than, and I spent how many years in there learning from these guys? I got to do this all myself. Anyway.
And then you turn around, right? And here's the conversation. Like you turn around, you've gone through this system, and here's the irony for people listening, because I want to deconstruct this a little bit, but here's the irony. I want you to think about this. So many of you did well in the system, didn't do what it doesn't matter, but you come out of the system, you quote unquote graduated, and now you feel so incapable of educating your own children that your immediate thought is, gosh, I need to send them back to that same system that left me feeling incapable in the first place.
Yeah.
See what that's called a religious system that is there to perpetuate itself. Right. It's not doing its job other than perpetuating itself. And that's what it's designed for, right? So powerful. There's a few things within public education. I hear this all the time. I went to public school and I turned out fine. Cool. Did you really, though? For real?
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure, bro? Are you sure? Are you sure? And cool. And let's assume you did. Great. Hey, guess what? Fine sucks. I'm like, Byron, man, how are you and your wife? How's your relationship? Oh, it's fine. Oh, man, that doesn't sound good. What's going on?
Yeah, fine.
Like that's fine is not good.
But, I've heard an acronym for it, but I ain't gonna say it anyway.
Yeah, dude, it's not a good one, right? And right? So fine is this 4-letter F word, man. I'm not looking for fine. I'm looking for sovereignty. I'm looking for freedom. I'm looking to thrive. So here's the deal. Schooling in and of itself, what the government does, what I call the conveyor belt model, there's a few issues here. One, it's controlled by the government, who is continuously tightening the reins on good teachers. Now, there are good teachers in the system. There are good humans who are teachers there. There are good people sending their kids there. If you're sending your kid there, I'm not saying you're a bad human. I'm not saying you suck as a parent. I am saying there are good humans there. But the government continuously tightens the reins. I talk to teachers over and over and over, day in and day out, who are being handcuffed by the system itself, right? They're being handcuffed so that there's no intellectual freedom for them. Right. They're being forced to follow a script. Hey, by the way, that script also has agendas pushed in there. There's 100%. Agendas. There's the DEI agenda, the CRT agenda, the sexualization of children agenda. And people say, well, not in my district. Yeah, in your district. And maybe you just haven't seen it that crazy yet, but I promise you it's there. And if it's not, it's coming, period. It's been the game plan for this long tail ride, right? So you got all this. Here's one of the biggest things though. School itself, that system that we all grew up going to, was designed by a military organization who designed it as a human management system. It's a behavior management system designed to get an obedient population. It is not designed to create an educated population. So even if you don't think you see the agendas yet, just the structure alone is a structure designed to make you an apathetic human being. Somebody who feels like they have to look to everybody else for answers and direction. And if that everybody turns out to be the government, you're like, yeah, whatever you say sounds good. I don't know any better because I don't know anything. Tell me what to do and when to do it.
This was
That's not sovereignty, bro.
No, man, this was the thing that made me so, I hated school, right? So like I was a kid. I was like a C student. I practiced my social dynamics in school.
Yes, sir.
I had people bringing me homework assignments. I was that guy, bro.
Yeah.
And I got great grades when I needed to. And what killed me in school, I just remember being like, one, I do not see my mommy and daddy doing any of this. So that was like first grade. I figured that out. So I was like, this is a game. Then when I got my master's degree, I was so aggravated because here I am. I just got back from war. And like, I've been trusting on God and figure it out. Like most all of my life, you know, and I was also an entrepreneur. So I'm sitting here like, figure it out. Plus God is basically all I got. And then I'm sitting here in this class and they're like, yo, this dead guy from 100 years ago said this thing. You need to recite this paper from this dude. And I'm like, I'm 350 audiobooks deep at this time. I'm like, this information is this is so old. So I remember being like, I can get a more up-to-date and accurate education for the current battlefield in the world right now, just by going on YouTube and downloading audiobooks. You want me to recite this old guy right now that is so outdated and incorrect, by the way. And the whole premise was, you know nothing, cite your sources, because this is the information we want you to learn. And I remember watching how corrosive that would be to someone's spirit and soul if they didn't know who they were. And then I would see the arrogance that the class would have, like, oh, well, we're getting master's degrees, we're smart. And I remember being like, you guys this is like the most blinding thing that's going to make you unsmart and teach you that you don't know anything and not to trust yourself. And so what you're saying really hits a chord with me, because I remember watching that happen, even in adults that were getting their graduate degrees. And I remember just being like,
dude, it's 100%. Man, I figured out that game early on too, right? I figured out as a kid, like, oh, there's a game going on here. And I did well in school. And it's not because I'm that smart. I did well because I figured, I'm like, oh, this is the game. Here's how I understand how to get A's with every single human. I don't have to try. And so I figured out that game, right? So then what happens? You get straight A's out of school and you're like, and I don't know who I am, and I don't know what value, and the world does not care that I got A's because they want to go, cool, what do you bring to the table? And I'm like, I know how to play school real well, right? Like, that's cool, who cares? And I've been talking, as I've been building these schools, I've been traveling around. There was a period of years where I was doing 200 flights a year. I was doing 60 to 70 keynotes a year for organizations all over the company, right? So I've made money speaking on stage and consulting with the biggest organizations in the world as my clients. The reason they brought me in is because they're going, hey, we've got all these really smart kids. They're smart from an academic standpoint. They got straight A's. They suck. We want to fire all of them. Man, how do we lead them? How do we get them up to speed? And then the young people were like, oh, we don't understand our jobs, play into the bigger role of this community. And so it was like bridging the gap of life, of how things should actually work, man. And I was getting brought in over and over and over again. And so what I saw with that too, were organizations going, hey man, we'll put degree required right now, but dude, we don't care. We want to see if somebody's good. If you're good, we don't care. It's a filtering mechanism. We want to see somebody that actually knows what to do and how to do it. And how to think. And I saw on my campuses, I saw high schoolers getting jobs that were meant for college graduates, and they were walking into career level because we taught them how to think, how to show up, what the world actually values.
Huge. So that's just, I love it. What would you say? So just in case someone's listening, what is your experience like, a little bit about you and why you about education and all that stuff.
So, when I tell people kind of what I told you right there with that story of figuring out, I was actually 4, man, when I was I'm a November baby. So I was 4 starting kindergarten. So I was 4 when I sat there and went,
yeah, me too, bro. I was like,
there's a game. There's a game.
I was educated in the Bahamas, which is like years ahead of the U.S. education system. My mom got custody of me. I came over here and I was like, I was doing that last year. And then after that, I like totally snapped out of it and was like, this is stupid. And my teacher was like, if you don't learn cursive, you ain't going to never be anything in life and go graduate from high school. And I was like, this is just, and right after that, I checked out and I started playing the social game of school. and figuring out other ways to get this stuff, and get the grades and all that. But sorry, I got distracted.
Oh, you're good, man. I get it.
Man, I was young like that too. I was like 4 or 5, and I was like, this is dumb. I know that this is dumb.
And see, here's the thing, man. And this is something we see over and over again. And I'll tell you where because I've seen this in multiple sectors. But there's a brain development jump that happens. We talk a lot about, okay, when a person's brain isn't fully developed until they're like 25, 26. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. Also, there are other big developmental brain jumps that happen. So like 8, there's a big one, 12-ish, there's a big one, 16-ish, there's a big one, right? And so there's all these other big milestones. And so about 4, I see this game, and right about 8, I remember sitting in there, my 3rd grade classroom going, I will never get anything less than an A. I got this school game down. And so I stopped actually learning almost anything. I got A's, but I stopped learning. Everything started becoming social, right? It's like, let's get good at girls. Let's get good at sports. Let's get good at, these are the things I care about. And I got my A's, and then I graduate, and I'm like, now I guess I'll go to college because that's what everybody else is doing, because I don't know me. I know sports, no girls, right? So I go to college, get my straight A's, got better at sports, got better at girls. I worked real hard to put myself through college, but then I got done and I actually turned down a job at the White House, and then went, I don't know who I am, what I have to offer the world, right? I had that moment of, again, of being, I'm working 3 jobs to put myself through school. So I was employed, I was a hard worker, but I'm like, dude, I'm not going to work as a part-time. I'm not going to work as a teller at Bank of America, managing an apartment complex and being a bouncer at a bar. I'm not going to do that the rest of my life.
Right.
What am I doing? Who am I?
Where am I going?
Right? Where am I going? So at least I had the work ethic. The work ethic ended up being stories in and of itself that led me a couple years after graduation to working at Stanford University. So I'm at Stanford on that campus, and that's when I started getting reminded of the game of school. Started seeing it again, but from the inside.
Yeah, from the business side.
From the business side. Start seeing admissions process going, wait, and this is before like the whole Aunt Becky from Full House debacle, like it was before that, right? But I start seeing like, wait, this isn't exactly the meritocracy everybody says. You got all these really smart kids who are doing well in school, but they're not doing well in life.
Yeah.
There's a problem here. I'm talking to some of these brilliant professors, and man, things just are not matching up, right? So I'm there for a couple of years. Naively, I thought, all right, I'm going to go fix this whole education thing from the inside. So I became a public school teacher in California, became a public school administrator in California, did not like the money politics game. This has nothing to do with kids. So I naively went to private schools in California, which, by the way, most of your private schools are modeled after your public school. It's the same thing. You're just paying for it, most of them. So I was a private school teacher, private school administrator. And ultimately, man, it was at that private school that I went, why is school developed like this anyways? As soon as I started asking that question,
it was over.
It was over. I was brave enough or stupid enough, whatever, probably both, to actually pull that string and keep pulling. And I got to the other side and went, oh, this isn't about kids in the first place. It never has been. Oops. Well, now I'm a dad. There's no way I'm sending my oldest at that time. There's no way I'm sending her into these systems, right? So I got to figure something out. And so that's when I decided to launch my first campus. I ended up launching a few under a different umbrella in California. Some years ago, I launched those, have stepped away from those so that Tim and I can do this, there's some similarities, but even Tim and I were like, no, man, this is what it needs to look like now for the 21st century, as far as we can see it.
I love
so that's the background, man. So I've seen the system every side you can see it from for the last 2 decades. That's
my man. I knew I had to put this in there for the academics, just so they don't think we're just bashing things, you know? Yeah. So there's experience here. There's a lot of credence here. There's Stanford University here. Just for all y'all.
I get the game, man. I get it. And look, academics are great. There's a piece of academics that matter. But the question comes down to what pieces matter for every human being. That's a very small scope. When do those specific academics matter? School will tell you one thing, life will tell you a different thing, human
100%.
development will tell you a different thing, right? And so there's just so many things that, again, going back to the garden, man, school sounds like I might be on the right track, but it's pushing you in a different direction.
100%. No, I love it, man. And then you mentioned as well, educating parents,
Yes,
like,
sir.
can we dig into that a little bit?
Yes,
Like I
sir.
mentioned to you the other day, I have a Cane Corso with titanium teeth who's a protection dog, right? And my trainers are like, look, bro, we don't educate dogs, we educate owners. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
Sure.
really
Yes,
where
sir.
the game won and lost, honestly. So
That's right.
what would you say about the adult education aspect of what you guys are doing?
I love it, man.
Real quick, we all seen it. Where you're going around society and you're looking at the kid and you look at the parent and you just see all the things out of whack. And then
100%.
you see the kid they produce, and that's where we're headed, guys.
Brother, I mean, it's gotten to the point now, again, 2 decades in, if I have the honor and the opportunity to spend some time with some young people, it does not take me too long before I know a lot about that family. I don't have to meet mom and dad yet to know who mom and dad are, right? And you just start to see those patterns, man. You start to see it, for better or for worse, right? You start to see it. So one of the things that I really want parents who hear this, I want them to hear this piece and I want them to understand it, man. The best way to educate your young people is always and forever going to be you as mom and dad increasing your own education and bringing them along for the ride. Always and forever. You are the primary educator in their life, period. End of story. You always have been, and you will be for a long time until they really dive into the self-education part of that and they start to grow in maturity that way. So it matters, man. So for us, Apogee Man and Apogee Woman are a minimum 12 months. And we say minimum, meaning it's 12 months of a program. And then you can decide at that point, we have options to go off in various things. But it's 12 months of you pursuing growth. And it's really 12 months of highlighting different areas because the amount of information is a 4-year college degree in 12 months. Every month highlights a specific area of human meta skill growth. Remember I said, what are the things that everybody needs to know, right? Well, human psychology, your own psychology, like the words you use for yourself, understanding who you are, why you have the definition of who you are, how to change that for the better in all the ways that you need to show up. That matters to everybody.
Yes,
right?
100%.
Your time and energy management, understanding how to manage your time, but managing your energy as it relates to that time. That matters for everybody. Your physiology, your physical health, nutrition, like those things matter to everybody. Relationships, your spiritual journey, all the finances at a high level, the different games people don't understand about how finances actually work, how taxation actually works, how to put yourself in a better tax situation. Those are all things that we go through over the course of those 12 months. You got projects and challenges there. You got books there. You've got a network of people that are all working together in this private platform around this. You've got mentors who are in there with you on it. And then every week, you also have live calls with some of the best people on the planet. Hey, we've brought in a gentleman by the name of Byron Rodgers to come in and speak with our men, right? You came in and spoke with our men. And I remember the exact week because I remember the exact class that started because you were their first call for a specific class that came in. And I remember a bunch of the guys afterwards going, hold on, man, are the live calls all like this? Because this was the best thing done in years.
Heck yeah.
I'm like, dude, Byron is the man. And like, that is, so that's every single week too. When I say the best of the best, we are bringing in the best of the best, right? You've come on, gosh, man, Alex Hormozy has come on. Andy Frizella's come on. Brian Callen's come in. We just had Tulsi Gabbard came in. Ben Greenfield's come. I mean, dude, like the list goes on and on. It's into the hundreds of amazing humans who are coming in and pouring into these people because we want mom and dad sovereign.
I love it. That's awesome. And then it stabilizes the kids' lives, the kids' homes. You're not competing. You're not competing with that. Go ahead, man.
That's it, man. You're not. That's it. Like we can't. We lose. The kids lose ultimately, right?
Yeah.
Like we lose. the case. If we're talking growth mindset all day long with these kids, putting them in these situations where they're growing and they're on fire, man, and they go home to a mom and dad who are speaking the opposite language, who are saying, yeah, I guess you can be anything you want, and then talking out the same side of their, the other side of their mouth, like, but my life sucks, but I can't do this, but I can't seem to lose weight, I can't seem to get along with your mom, and I hate my job, and it's freaking Monday, and dude, that's what they learn.
Yeah.
That
100%. And I love that you attacked it at all those levels. I remember getting my psychology degree and being like, everyone should be going through, like when we were talking about the self-awareness and all the different, I'm like, why does not everyone get educated? Like there's certain books. What was it? One of the books, Robert Greene's Human Nature book. I've given that book and 48 Laws of Power. Those are some of the
laws.
My guys instantly. I'm like, you'll be smarter than 70% of the people you come in contact with if you can understand these books. You just will be. Like they just don't study themselves and they don't know how to think. The quality of your life is dictated by the quality of the conversation you're having inside your mind. Like if you can guide that, as a man thinketh in his heart.
As a man thinketh. And you're talking, I mean, you're literally naming books on our book list.
Yeah,
right? Frankel's on our book list, on our list, man. Robert Greene's on our book list. We talk that first month, man. Todd Herman's Alter Ego Effect is on our book list, man. Like you got to understand how to develop the person that you are. 12 Rules is on our book list, man. I mean, we have so many of those things that we focus on.
And that's so massively valuable because I had to go out and do it myself. I had to go out and be like, hey, Father, like, what should I, like, what should I, and he's like, and then, but now, thanks to this work, people can get plugged in and get guided with the education they actually need. And the parental level, that's huge. That's extremely powerful. What would you say about some of these? You kind of touched on public schools, but public schools, charter schools, major differentiators with what you guys are doing. Are they still good options? I know that parents are trying to navigate alternatives. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
and it's like the medical.
Yeah, I mean,
they're great doctors that want to do good things for people. You know what I mean? But the way that they're educated, the way the money moves, these things can be corrosive.
And that's the thing, right? The way the money moves, or your public schools and even your charter, people hear charter and they think it's they're like, oh, okay, cool. It's like public school, but better, and it's still free. No, charter school is still a public school. It still gets government funding, which means you still bend the knee to what the government says. So it means you're still ultimately going to get funded based on how well you play the game of school, how well you score on standardized tests, which are a predictor of nothing. And in fact, I would lean towards the other way. Like if you're really, really good and that's really your focus, and that's really, well, you're further away from being educated, than anything else, because you're definitely being not, you're taught that the right answer is always the thing you want to get answers, where the world values curiosity and better questions, right? Like the world values you being curious. And that's the scientific method, by the way, too, right? I'm going to be curious. I'm going to make an observation. I'm going to make a hypothesis, and then I'm going to go test, and I'm going to go try, and then I'm going to reflect on it. I'm going to go, okay, that worked. That didn't work. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of a better aim now. Now I can move forward this way. Like that's what the world rewards. Yes. School says multiple choice, but there's only one answer. And you're like, authority, tell me what answer it is. It's this one. Okay, did I do well? And they're like, good boy, right? Like it's an obedience thing.
Right.
So even if you're in a quote unquote good district, all that means is you are in a decent socioeconomic area. That's what that means.
Exactly. Other like rich people.
That's all it is.
Great.
That's all it is. The quality of the school system, I guarantee you, is not much better. And I've taught in the Disneyland area of California. I taught in ganglands of California. The teachers weren't any better. The system wasn't any better. The population was just different. That's it. But even different doesn't necessarily mean better, man. I saw 100%. So in the ganglands, man, I saw there was, we got weed, we got gangs, we got violence, we got some of the stuff that's playing on in there. You got some sexual things going on. You got a little bit of this. But then you go out to your Disneyland areas of California, you're real good. Guess what? Now your drugs are more designer drugs. You still got the violence. You still got sex going on in the bathroom at school. You still got people that are mentally having all kinds of issues. And now they're saying they need to change their gender and their kid. And that's what you want around your kids all the time. That's what you want. That's what you want
to compete with. That's what you want to compete with in your home. And then they spend more time at school than they do with you because you just try to make a living. And then you come get them.
Dude, here's what people will say too. They'll go, oh, well, you don't want to shelter your kids. You got to get them ready for the real world. I guarantee somebody said that's listening to this right now. So here's the deal. Cool, man. If that's the logic that we're going to play, then you, sir, or you, ma'am, who are thinking that, in order to really understand the real world and to move yourself forward, do you go intentionally spend time in prison so that you can see how the world really works? No. If you want to get better, you go find a seminar to go to or a training to go to around experts, solid humans.
Yep.
You want to get better by being around better.
Yep.
Kids deserve the same thing.
Let's go.
You want them in an environment that shows them what greatness is and makes that normal. So that when they do go into the real world and they see something that is not great, they see something that is against the design, they go, well, that's not normal and I want no part. Right?
100%.
Panacea or a perfect way to do that so that no kids ever no, man, of course not. But why are you going to risk it?
100%. 100%, because what's out there in the world always looks cool, feels cool. You know what I'm saying? I love KFC, but I can't eat it all the time. Yeah, I can't eat it. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, so you got to understand what you're up against. And I 100% agree with you. Rule of fives, you rise as high as your five closest friends.
Right.
Putting my mom putting me in a Christian culture as a young man gave me a foundation and gave me something to stand on when I got out in the world. I was planted deep. And that's what held me over when I was in the Marine Corps, in Iraq, all around the world, 60, 70 countries in the back of private jets and with everything I could ever want at my little fingertips. And the reason that I'm here is because that foundation and that culture gave me something to tether myself to, that I watched people who didn't have that get wrecked, man. And then when it came my time to get wrecked, I still had a foundation and tools that worked to fall back on, which is the only reason I'm still here, So I agree with you 100%. I think you hammered that, because that's what you always hear. Well, they need to be socialized. Listen, my kids need to have the mental, emotional, and spiritual tools to navigate this reality far before being in contact with all the corrosive elements that they will inevitably come in contact with. And they need to be prepared and armored up with the toolage to be successful and take dominion over those things in the same way that I have as a man. And then it's my job to be so much farther ahead of that game to where they look at dad and they're like, why am I going to entertain this drug dealer? Look at the man who I get to learn from. That's our role. You know what I'm saying?
Like, bro. That's it. That's exactly it. They're going to be who you are before they do what you say. So you better make sure you're the man you want them to be, or you're the woman that you want them to be, right? You have to be that person.
100%. Be human being, not human doing, player. It's who you're being, man. Let's go. Right. Yo, what would you say, parents that are considering homeschool, like maybe they're like, and really, because I know financial times are hard. Like, I know parents are looking for alternatives. What would you say to the homeschool option? Is it impossible? Is it as hard as people think? Is it a good option? And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about, what it costs for a family to think about.
100%, man. So yeah, homeschool can be a great option, but I always say home educate, don't homeschool. And what I mean by that, the biggest thing that I see people get tripped up in is that they go, okay, you're right. I see what's going on over there. I don't want my kids involved in that. The whole socialization thing, that's what I want them to be right there, is them twerking in the quad and lunch and having sex in the back. Like, that's what I want the socialization to look like. I don't think so, man. So I want to give them that foundation. I'm going to bring them home. And then they recreate school at home. They go, okay, life, force, and subjects. I'm now the teacher. You sit down, you be quiet, and they try to recreate their own childhood teacher experiences at home. And then they start coming up and butting heads, right? Don't bring school home. Decide to educate if you're going to educate. So we walk families. We got a couple hundred families that we walk through home education as well. And we have them prioritize in these different buckets, like reading and writing. What does that look like? How does it actually work from a developmental standpoint? How do you actually gain the academic skills? Academia is so easily acquired when the brain is ready. And there's a million resources out there right now to be able to do that. I mean, there's a million. So we go, okay, what are some of the great resources? How much do you prioritize that? What are some of the other experiences that you want your young people to have? Are you going to let them be bored as well so that they can start to create? What other chores, responsibilities? Like, we help families stack in real human growth so that it doesn't look like school. My kids are now, they'll do an an hour-ish of academia,
Mhm.
like 4 days a week. That's about it. And they're blowing the doors off of their peers their age because they spend the majority of their time doing these other things and moving other things forward. They're
Yeah.
still at quote unquote grade level, which is not a real thing. And they're
Yeah.
actually blowing the doors off of it while
Yes.
spending very little time on that and spending tons of time. My 13-year-old works 30, 40 hours a week, right? She's already written 2 books that are both over like 400 pages.
This is what I want. This is the good stuff, bro.
None of my kids, and we never taught any of our 3 kids to read, and all 3 of them are voracious readers because we made reading accessible, cool, available, enticing, exciting, and like none of them want to ever put their books down. And they're reading multiple books at the same time all the time at 13, 11, and 8. And we never taught them, by the way, how to read. What?
Yeah.
Well, no, I never taught them explicitly how to walk or speak English either, but they did it because it was a normal thing in our household. So is reading, right? And so we did it with them and made it exciting. So we walk families through how to do that. Again, my oldest working 30, 40 hours a week. She's riding horses. My middle one's a competitive gymnast. My young man's a competitive, kickboxing and ninja warrior. And man, they've got so many things going on. And the thing that everybody says as soon as they meet my kids, they're like, man, how do you discipline them? I'm like, no, man, we don't discipline them. We've taught them to be disciplined human beings. That's a different thing. You just met an 8 and 11 and a 13-year-old adult. Like, that's what you
let's go, man. Let's go.
That's it. Right. And so that's setting up what's normal at home. So if people are going to homeschool, that's how you actually do it. That's how you prioritize it. It's that. But it means mom and dad have to be on their stuff too.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't mean you're perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Right. That's not possible.
Yeah.
But you pursue perfection.
Yeah. And you pursue progress. And they're going to do what they see you doing. And you being a high quality human, you're going to create a high quality human. It becomes the law of your home. It's just a consequence of your being who you are being. When they see you have discipline, they begin to integrate discipline, and it becomes just the law of this is how we are here,
That's right.
That's it, man.
Bro, if you wanted to teach your kids how to speak a foreign language, right? You've got a couple options. One, you can try to look for like a course. You can look for, an online thing, and you're going to get a little bit from that. But what's the fastest way to really make sure they're good? You go there and you immerse yourself in that culture, right? You live there and you don't have any other option but to figure it out. It's on TV, it's on the radio. Everybody you're speaking to is speaking this other language. And I'll tell you what, you immerse yourself in that for enough months, and everybody is now fluent in this other language too, right? That's how humans work. So you immerse them in all of the qualities of being a solid, successful, passion, pursuit-driven human being, and it's just what they become.
100%. I love it, man. And then my goal with my kids is just, I want to make sure that my kids like enter the game. Like, you have your three different types of money. You got what I call blood money. You're training time for money. You got, because it costs blood, man. Like you're here, you got here to do this, right? And then your second level where you make a machine that makes money, right? And you're managing a machine that's giving you money, which is awesome. And then the third level, obviously your money's making money. No one's getting hurt. My whole goal is like my daughter sees me working, my kids see me working in here in my office doing my thing all day. And they're like, Daddy, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, Daddy's going to show you how to make money in a way that doesn't require you to be in the slave trade. Like so many people you're going to know. And so that's kind of my whole, like, by the time my kid, like you're saying with your kids, man, already published multiple books, like, why can't my kids start businesses at such a young age that by the time they're my age, they're not worried about going to a job. They're sovereign, just like you're talking about. They understand what they're putting in their body on the level of food. They're on their like 5th business by the time they're 18. They're like, I started a lemonade stand. I started a lumber. I started doing things online. I got an Amazon store. Like, tell me a kid can't create an Amazon store right now and be doing reviews on products that are relevant to their classmates who will make their parents spend money on it. Like, tell me a kid can't do that right now, bro. Tell me this is the easiest time in society ever to make money. Like, Imagine, man. And so that's where my head's at. So I'm listening to everything you're saying, and you're just bop, 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 bop.
Brother, that's it, man. That's the game, man. That is the game. And parents, here's what stops people: the
Yeah.
fear of being different. It's the fear of being different, right? Because it's religious belief they have that, but I really need my kid to go to school because what about getting into college because they won't have a good degree or they won't have a good life if they don't do that. Like, it is that religious tie that we have to doing things like everybody else is doing.
And what's going to happen when I'm at a dinner party and all my friends start beating me because my kids aren't going to be socialized and they're going to be weird and I have to stand there at the next dinner party and all the cool kids, AKA your adult friends, are sitting there blasting on you because you're doing something different. And that's an internal strength.
You're doing something different.
It
is, man, 100%, man. And that's, we've had that too, where it's like, from a developmental perspective, there's a certain time that certain academia hits more than others. And other countries do a better job of this. Look at Finland. They do a better job of this. Kids don't even start school until they're 7 or 8. And even then it's social emotional, it's around play. And then they start academics a little bit late because like your brain's actually ready for it. Where in America, we're like, no, start academia when they're 3 or 4, because that's actually anti-human. It's actually breaking them. If they're not interested in it, you're actually making them think they're like, there's all these nuances to all this stuff, right? So we've had it too, where we had, our kids were young. It was like, okay, well, here, give me your multiplication tables. And my kids were like, and they were a little slower. And they're like, see, my kids can do multiplication tables. I'm like, okay, man, but that's cool. But my 9 and 7-year-old, it might have taken them a little longer to do multiplication than your kids. But my 9 and 7-year-old also just bought horses based on the money they made in their businesses. Your kid's not doing that. And guess what? Now that they're 13 and 11 and their brain's there, they do have the multiplication tables, and you still don't have horses. So,
right. And entrepreneurs who are generating actual real financial compensation in the real world already, which will be inoculated to this whole entire game and completely capable by the time they get to be my age. Can you imagine what these kids are going to be doing? That's the real game. You might have some good employees there. We're going to have some good influence entrepreneurs, people that are potent
innovators. Bingo. And people that are able to adapt, man. Because reality is we don't know what the world looks like in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but it doesn't look like it does right now. Yeah. And so are you able to adapt, and are you able to figure out where to go get new information and all that? Like, that's another skill set.
So if someone's listening and they're like, well, this is really inspirational, this is very interesting, like, what are the financial obligations to something like this look like, the time obligations to getting educated and getting dialed in?
So it depends on which vertical we're talking about. So if you're talking about attending some of the campuses, every campus has sovereignty again, right? So they have the ability to go, all right, this is how much we're going to have to charge tuition wise to operate here. Our Oklahoma, I'm wearing an Oklahoma City hat right now. So I have City, right? The OKC tuition is going to be less than Long Island's tuition because cost of living is different, locations, all that kind of stuff. So tuitions are going to vary. So check the campuses that are near you. But what doesn't vary is the fact that we've got these 2 foundations and we have our payment processing system, so that our goal is within the next 5 years, there is no cost associated for anybody to attend any of our campuses, because the endowment will be large enough from what we're building out that it's going to be wildly and freely available to everybody to attend these campuses. That's the goal. We want to make it so that that's not even a thing, right? So that's the thing, man. So right now, the tuition
depends on the kingdom, boy. Come on, man.
But even that, man, like, we got these tuition, dude, just because of where we've started. We haven't even launched. And last week, man, I had 30 minutes out of one of my days where my job for 30 minutes was to sit and write checks. And I wrote out $52,000 worth of scholarships. Wow. Because of just what we have right now, people donating and things coming through the payment processing. And we just started sending families to these campuses. Like, I'm just sending checks going, nope, you're good. You're covered for the year. Like, here you go. So that's the goal. And so the men's and women's programs, is standalone. They're a couple $100 a month. If people don't have anybody nearby, which still is wildly affordable and
should be prioritized.
And it's underpriced, man, on purpose. So we're trying to make everything as available as possible until it's free.
Yes, until it's free. Let's go, man. Unplug. Let's go. So And then what would you say? So these charitable organizations,
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I plug this a little before we get to the very end. How can people like support? Who do they, and these links will be in the write-up, you guys.
Thank you, brother.
Like, say you're watching this and you're like, man, I want to support this war. I want to support raising the next generation of humans, parents, children. I want to support this machine, this parallel organization, right? That's making the world better, that's tethered to the better good for humanity, that's spreading light and love. How can people support that financially?
So best way, so we have three different links. One of them, we just got the Apogee Education Foundation.
Yeah.
That just got secured as a 501c3. So we don't have the link operational yet. That one is going to be, it can connect to really big grants. We have somebody that's donating like a $4 million piece of property to build a campus. They're donating it to that one, right? Amazing. So, but we can still take donations to that. So people can reach out to me directly to that for that one, just matt@apogeestrong.com. The Apogee Strong Foundation, that is apogeestrongfoundation.org. People can donate right there through the website. That money, 100% of that money, not 92%, not 98%, 100% of that money goes directly to families who the campuses have identified. These are good humans who need some help. Cool. 100% of that money goes there to try to pay their tuitions as much as we can. If we can do the whole thing, we will. So apogeestrongfoundation.org, people can go there. And if there's people here who are business owners who are going, man, I'd love to be able to help without even having to do anything or change anything, apogeepays.com. That'll get you information on switching over. If you're using Stripe for your business, you're using PayPal for your business to take orders, man, you switch over to Apogee Pays. Not only will we not shut you down if you're not woke, right? Because we've gotten shut down. When we had Stripe, we got shut down. Stripe held money, right? We had that, right? So not only will we not do that to you because you're not a woke organization, but instead of any money being made on our side, it goes straight to the foundation, straight to families.
Wow. apogeepays.com. Okay. Always looking for an alternative. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we're talking about, parallel organizations, but you can go to
parallel organizations,
or you can run your money through apogeepays.com. Let's go, man. So good. That's awesome, man. And then just a few more questions as we dig into this, man. What would you say if someone's listening and is like, yo, I wanna maybe think about starting one of these schools. My kids are of age, maybe I have an educational background and I'm just tired of what I've been seeing, or I'm an entrepreneur and I just want to like build one of these structures, and are there teachers? Can you guys help me find, like, how does that look and work?
100%, man. So the best thing to do would be go to apogeestrong.com. Mm-hmm. There's a little documentary. It's about an hour long that comes up on that. I highly recommend, if you're interested in starting a campus, check out that documentary, man. Take the hour to watch that documentary and see what we're all about. And then there is a button on there that says Apogee Schools. There's a map to show you where locations are popping up. And there's a way for you to go ahead and hit apply. We don't think we're going to wait a whole nother, because we've got a group of, like I said, about 100 that are signing right now for a 2025 launch. If somebody hears that and they want to get in 2025, that training starts August 1st. They'd have to jump now. But another 6 months from now, we'll also open up another portal for people to be able to apply, but they can just go in on that website and they can tap that in. So yes, we do help the training on where to find, the teachers and the guides, how to find locations. We have real estate teams that we work with that will help people find locations, help them negotiate leases. We've got a partnership with the Red Balloon Network. We've got a partnership with Praxis. We've got a partnership with Tuttle Twins. We have partnerships with these organizations that will help us with materials, with people, with marketing, with advertising. We go in and help to the best of our ability. You still have work to do to build your community. Right. But man, we've got so many dang options and people that we are working with to help make it as seamless as possible. We set up the tech for you so that you don't have to worry about that. You still get to customize it and do whatever you want. If you're a tech guy, so many of these people are like, no, I want to serve kids. I don't know anything about tech. Cool. Yeah. We've got the tech side covered. We've got we're just trying to make it as accessible, again, as possible for people to do the thing they want to do.
Yeah, because you believe in the mission and you're not doing it
Mission.
for profit. It's all about just spreading this gospel, man.
That is
This is
it.
all about spreading what you were created to spread. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
the difference I find in leaders as I come in contact with leaders, as I've traveled the globe, like I said, 70 plus countries, sitting in private jets, listening to leaders, speak to leaders. You find that some of them are extremely mission centric and some of them are profit centric.
Yeah.
And that's what I see in you, man. Like you're super missions of whatever it takes. Let's get this mission. Let's execute on this. And that's what I love. I love being in contact with people like that because that's who I am. That's 100%
100%,
why I was
man.
created.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and then last few questions as we get into what do you think the hardest lesson you've learned on this journey has been?
That's a great question, man. The hardest lesson is that most people don't actually want to be led. And I say that without even having to think, man. So there's this, you take a look at, and this is the story that actually helped me come to terms with it. You take a look, God releases the slaves out of Egypt, man, and he brings them out, man, and gets them out of slavery, right? And as he's bringing them out, he's got Moses who's leading them through the desert, right? And they start going, God, dude, you're a little too loud. Could you quit talking to me? I'm kind of sick of hearing your voice. Like, could you knock it off? And actually, this dude that you sent us right here to lead us out, dude, I kind of want to kill this dude. And let's go build this golden calf, right? They want to go back
and have orgies.
Right? And have like, let's go. Here we go. Right?
Right. Like there's been a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day, and we're eating stuff that's fallen from the sky, bread from
but still.
And our sandals are growing with our feet. But anyway,
it's all good.
This is
let's
hard.
Just do this
we should be back in Egypt right now. This is too hard.
So the thing is, man, that is
human nature.
That is human nature. And so that has been the hardest thing in this entire thing, whether it is, because I personally work with all the men too, coaching all the men, right? Tim's working with the men. We're working with the men. We got Coach Kevin. So we have these coaches that are working with the guys, man, working with the men, working with the women, working with the affiliates. As I've built campuses, working with families for 2 decades, people will resort back to that slave mentality. They will resort back to a known slavery versus fight for an unknown or ambiguous freedom.
Yes.
And that is a human nature. So, but that story, I'm like, man, if they're going to turn their back on God as he's there, man, I'm nobody. Yeah. So why, of course, there's going to be people that fall out. That's a hard lesson to learn, but it is the reality, man. It is something that we do see. So I will pour into anybody and everybody as much as I humanly can. But at some point when I realize they have no desire to pour into themselves, man, I got to move on and I got to find the people who are willing to push, you know? And so that's the hardest part of it, is leading that way and inviting people to come along, realizing that sometimes they're just not going to accept your invitation.
Yeah. Oh, it's the truth. Spoken like a true man who's been on the path. It ministers to me because I've been there, bro. And I mean, it's the whole reason I got into psychology was because I was sitting there getting out of the Marine Corps and I was like, guys, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing? We're going to be nothings. Like, we're just going to be guys that had cool tattoos, once upon a time fought in a war. We're going to be broke. You're going to kill yourself in the next 10 years, bro, when you realize that you haven't become anything, you haven't found a purpose, and your wife's tired of listening to your dang Iraq stories. No one really actually cares. I was like, we have to generate value. Like, and then I remember being like, how can I motivate these guys? That's why I wrote my book, Finding Meaning After the Military. I'm like, how can I motivate my brothers? Like, I'm a warrior. We're in a war. Dudes are committing suicide. The war is reality and it's life. How can I get guys to drink? Like, I can take them to the water, but how can I get guys to get in this fight with me? We got to go fight and generate value in life to take care of our own identities, ourselves, our families, bring honor to even the Marines, like even our guys that didn't make it. We need to they're watching us. Like, we can't just cut our camis into shorts and grow beards and just kick it. Like, they're going to be disappointed. They don't get a chance to do this. And I remember just being like, what the heck? And I remember so many dudes just didn't have the engine. They just were like, nah, like Byron's, he's kind of crazy. He's still hardcore or whatever. And I was like, bro, don't you get it? Like, we gotta push, man. And then when you push, you get resistance. Right after intention follows resistance every time, all through the Bible. It's all
every time.
And that's part of the beauty, that's there to make you strong and give you the muscles you need to survive in the next phases. And it's part of the beautiful training that you got to go through, but I 100% that's been one of the biggest heartbreaks for me too, and the only thing I've been able to do is stay on the path, weather the storms. And every once in a while, one of the guys they kind of look over at me and they're like, man, you're still going. Like, man, this kind of turned out good. And I'm like, yeah, bro, get up, dude, get in the fight, bro.
Dude, that's it. People don't want it's that long tail game. I always say people will say what they wish they believe. What they do is what they believe.
Yeah, what they do shows you who you are.
What they do shows you what you, and that's it. And you can fake it for a little bit of time. You can't fake it for a year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years. You can't fake it for 10 years. You can't. So watch somebody for that length of time, man, because that's who they really are. Right. That's what shows. And so but that also is indicative of the game and how you win it, man. It is a long tail game. If you're building anything worthwhile, you're on a mission that's worthwhile, it's going to be a long tail game. I remember we had Frank Grillo, a great actor, man, and just a super good dude. And he came on with our young man. And we're talking about that whole old adage of like, well, most businesses fail within, 95% of businesses fail within the first however many years. Yeah. And they probably do, but it's not because that many of them had bad ideas. It's because people quit because it's hard. And they quit. That's it.
100%.
Hey, don't quit.
Yep. 100%. And don't quit. And learn what you need to learn, prioritize, execute, control what you can control, rinse and repeat. And I think too, just to beat this horse path past death, the one thing that I think is super important too is being tethered to like the journey of it, like understanding, like for me, I just know I serve a good God and everything I'm going through is here to serve me. And like, he's perfectly crafted every challenge that I'm dealing with. And then I'm in the palm of his hand and it's all love, man. The air you're breathing, your heart beating without you thinking about it, like all the different bacterias and viruses that you're fighting without even thinking about. There's so much love here. And so for me, the challenges in the journey just represent the university of the journey. And what I find with people is they get fixated on the result, and like you've heard you heard Hormozy talk about it, where it's like, America was fighting the Vietnamese because they were trying to win a war. The Vietnamese were playing the infinite game. And those are the people I find that are the ones that are tethered to the outcome of the mission. They're like, listen, as long as this takes, I'm finna sit here and I'm just gonna keep fighting. And that's how I am. I'm like, no, I'm just here for the carnage. Like I'm here for it, man. That's and if I can just bite a toe, I'm a bite a toe because I'm still alive. We gonna get this done. And I may die in the pursuit, but when I get to heaven, God's going to look and be like, yo, you know what? That little black dude from the Bahamas, that Matt, that dude, like they got after it, bro.
And that's it. That is the game. It is always that infinite game until you're 6 feet under, man.
Man. And enjoying the journey. So what would you say is two more questions. What would you say is your proudest moment in this battle, man, in this country?
That's a great question too, man. And I'll tell you, I was talking to a member of my team earlier today, and I was saying, man, I know one of my biggest weaknesses as a human being in general is not stopping to enjoy the moment. Because I am so mission driven. I'm like, well, the mission's not over, right? Like it's not over. So we got, okay, cool. That's great. But
rounds down range. I'm only as good as my next move.
Dude, I'm going to the next one. Yes, man. That's it. So she's like, hold on, stop for a second. She's like, I want you to realize what is being built. I want you to realize, look, now we're talking university. Now we're talking, we just got contacted by a person that everybody listening here would know who they are. And they want us to potentially do a television show around what we're building. And like, we've got all of these things coming in, right? All of that is fantastic. Mm-hmm. My proudest moment is quite literally every single day realizing that first and foremost, while we're impacting so many people and so many families, first and foremost, my family is at peace, man. That's it. Like there's nothing better than that. And I need to stop and relish that victory more because I don't even relish that enough because I just take it for granted that they're at peace. My wife is at peace. My kids are at peace. There's real joy. And it's a joy that is a byproduct, not of doing a bunch of fancy things. We don't vacation. We don't buy fancy stuff. It's the joy of having a life that we all wake up and look forward to living every day together. Right. So there's nothing else that beats that.
That's awesome, man. And there's such a level of genuine fulfillment that comes from knowing that you're helping like people and making lives better. Like that is the one, like I don't all the money in the world. That's the one thing that I have found, happiness follows right action. It can't be pursued. It must ensue, right? And so when you look in the mirror and you're like, in integrity with yourself, in integrity with your God, in integrity with the work you're doing by the grace of God, and you're like, man, we are helping people. That's huge. When you, as a man on a micro, when you look in the mirror and you're like, yo, I'm going through this Apogee course and it's hard, but me and my wife are figuring it out and we're getting it. And like, I'm doing something good for my family and leading them in a good way. Like, these are the things you can have no money in your bank account and literally be at peace and feel like, you know what, but we're good.
That's it, man. That's it. That's literally it, man. That's literally it. I understand the value of having money for the business to continue to perpetuate. I understand that that's part of the machine. I understand the value of having money that I can give to other families to help. I understand the value there, but that is not the motivator. I am just not motivated by stuff or money in the freaking least. Like, there is not a part of me that gets excited about that. It's what you just said. It's the fact that I can look myself in the mirror and be like, you're good, man. You're good. You're not perfect. You got issues. Right. You got things to work on. You got things to get better, but you're in integrity.
Yeah.
And you can go to sleep and you can lay your head down and start again tomorrow and you're good.
What would you say are some of the, just high level, some of the fruit that you've seen in some of the kids' lives, that your students are doing, and things like, just brag on them real quick.
Man, that's easy. That's easy, bro. So we've got, I'll go again. My girls were 9 and 7, right, when they bought those first courses, right? And so now 13, 11, and 8, and again, having those comments come to us, having the fact my 13-year-old is getting, all these job offers, having her instructor come to me and say, hey, I've done this for 50 years. I've never had somebody that I rely on at 13 years old as much as I rely on your daughter, right? Having the gymnastics coach and the American top team kickboxing coaches, talking about my kids, going, man, I wish every kid in the class came with that work ethic and that attitude like that. So that's just my own kids, right? And then I got kids walking off stage in high schools that are going into jobs where an entire organization shifted. They only had ever hired college graduates. They shifted the entire organization nationwide to be able to hire high schoolers so they could hire him. He walks in, has got college grads now, he's leading them because they see the way he shows up. I just went down to LA a couple of weeks ago and saw my friend Brian Callen, went on his podcast and went in there. And the last time I'd seen him, man, one of our students had crafted a knife and was getting into understanding how to make knives and stuff. And I brought it down to Brian as a gift. And we went into the studio and Brian's like, hey man, there's that knife over there. I'm like, yes. Like, there's seeing other people get excited about the value that these kids bring. I've got endless text messages that I have saved on my phone of the men and the women in our programs, or wives of the men in our program who shooting me messages going, hey, I just want to let you know, we were on the brink of divorce, but things have never been better. Things have never been better, right? Like it's like, man, those are the kind of messages. It's those things. I can't, it's those things. It's those individual lives change. That's it, man. It doesn't get better. It does not get better, bro.
Doesn't get better, man. That's the parallel, the other compensation system in real life that you guys need to do will beautify your life, is helping people like this. That's so awesome, man. And you can do that even just by donating, that's awesome. Yeah, and then the final question I always ask is, at the end of the day, what's it all for? How do you want to be remembered?
Man, at the end of the day, it's for sovereignty and for freedom. At the end of the day, I don't care. And I've told these kids, funny, man, I put out a video every day to our people too, in all of our programs. And I think I mentioned in this video, it might've been today. If not, it was yesterday. I don't care if I'm remembered by them in the least. In fact, I don't care as long as the people that are upstairs in this house right now, as long as they remember me and they speak well, and then their kids remember me and they speak. That's the only people I want to be remembered by. I want Apogee to be remembered as the organization that brought people back to sovereignty and freedom. I don't want them to, I don't care if anybody's like, oh, and it was started by, I don't even want them to know. I want it to be like, oh no, I'm pretty sure it was started by this guy over here in Oklahoma. No, it was started by this dude here. I want them to fight over that.
Because the impact's so massive. They just don't need to know. It's like, how did Bruce Lee die? It's like, oh my gosh. Like,
I don't want it to even be about me in the least, man. So that's it. As long as these people remember my name, I'm good.
That's so good, man. They say you die 2 deaths, right? You die one physical and one the last
time somebody speaks your name.
Yeah, man, the depth of your influence. I think every man has a javelin, man. And you gotta hurl that thing as far as you can. You got a timer going, and you're hurling one, man. That's awesome. I love it, man. Good stuff, brother.
We're working to huck one, man, for sure.
Heck yeah, man. Well, that's all I got for you. I really hope people take advantage of and really step into and find ways to either support or become a part of this movement, man. This is an attack. We've been under attack in culture in so many different ways, biology in so many different ways, financially. The education that you're rendering for families and for kids, these are the things that will illuminate people, their minds, give them the information. Remember, the Prince of Darkness reigns in darkness. Darkness is ignorance. My people perish for lack of knowledge, what you don't know. You're being victimized by what you don't know. It's the areas you don't know. So, fighting an education war to me is just so beautiful, man. And I got your back. I'm finna get in the fight. I'm like circling right now, looking for my angle.
We've got your back no matter what, whether it's officially in this or it's not, doesn't matter, man. You're my brother. You are in this fight too. And it goes both ways, man. Anytime I can support you, your family, your mission, we're all about it, brother. So
I love it, man. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Boom. When it comes to the technology you use to protect your home, there's nothing better than Deep Sentinel, AI-driven, human-monitored technology that will keep you and your family safe for the same price you're paying for whatever Ring doorbell system you have. Check out Deep Sentinel. It's such an honor to join forces with these guys. They should be in every single house in the world. Get real-time Overwatch for you and your loved one. And for 10% off, depending on when you're watching this, don't forget to use code Byron at checkout. Boom! Quick shout out to our sponsor, Staccato. My first pistol sponsor. I've been sponsored by a lot of companies, right, over the years. But when it comes to pistol, that's my bread and butter. Pistol is something I believe in. I'm a competitive shooter. We're shooting anywhere from, 800 rounds a month type of thing, right? So Staccato, being what I believe, is one of, if not the most complete handguns you can put in your hand. It's got every component that a handgun could have, should have. They're actually extremely dependable now that they've made some changes, and these things are straight up tack drivers. If you're looking for a pistol that will do as much of the work for you as a piece of hardware can, obviously you have to have the marksmanship and all the different things, but different guns perform at different levels. And I want to say that Staccato is one of, by far, for sure, take it from a competitive shooter, we're shooting the highest volumes of rounds constantly right now. Not used to have a background guy, but like right now, when you go shoot, you're gonna see certain brands. Staccato is one of, if not the highest performing firearm that is both CCW, duty ready, and also competitive ready. So I want to give them a shout out. If you guys are looking for a good handgun to build your skills on top of, go check out Staccato. Much love and respect. Yo, if you enjoyed that episode and you like learning things like that, I want to encourage you to go to Protector Nation, build a profile, get in the Civilian Protector Project. This is where you can learn from these guys, live Zoom calls. You can see the full modules that you just watched, and you can become part of a community. It's the first social media platform for protectors where we can get to know each other, we can network, we can learn together. We do live Zoom calls with different SMEs every single month. There's so much packed in there. I'm in there. It's an honor, it's a privilege. Looking forward to working together to make the world a safer place by helping good people to become more willing, capable, and prepared. Protector Nation, Civilian Protector Project, let's go.